Welcome back to the Pitch to Purchase podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Rabel. Thank you so much for joining me because today we're going to be talking about what it means. Because if you're like 90% of the business owners that I've worked with, they took a marketing class maybe in high school, maybe college, and they've read between, 100 and 1,000 different articles on marketing and all the things that it means. And the more they read, the more confused they get, which is quite understandable because every article probably tells you like, this is the cure all and be all to all your marketing woes. And they're just trying to sell you something. So what I'm going to do in this episode is I am going to break down some of the most common words, phrases that you're going to find when it comes to sales and marketing. Now, in my book, yes, shameless plug, The Rebel Girl's Guide to Marketing is called Stop Committing Random Acts of Marketing. In one of the first chapters, I did write down a bunch of definitions. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is that the people who have read the book said to me that was very helpful. It was very helpful to understand from a very basic basis what those words mean that you hear all the time with sales and marketing terms. So we're going to start with some of the basics. Like, what is the difference between market and marketing? They seem like to be the same, but they're not. So what is a market? A market is the people that you're selling to. Now, it's different than an ideal customer because an ideal customer fits the exact profile of who you're selling to. They have demographics and psychographics that fit who you're trying to talk to. Now, we're not going to go into that today because quite honestly, that's an entirely different episode. But your ideal customer, think of it this way. What is the best customer that you've ever had? What made them great? Was it the industry that they worked in? Was it the fact that they paid you on time? Was it a fun project? Were they easy to work with? What made them amazing? So for now, I just want you to think of that person as your ideal customer. Now, the market, and sometimes referred to as the target market, is where they hang out. Where do they go? Where do they digest information? How do they find out about you? Is it through a billboard? Is it through Facebook? Is it through a magazine article? Did you sponsor a kid's sports team? What is it that they did to find out about you? How did they find out? Or was it a referral? So the target market or the market that you are marketing to, so your market is where your ideal customers hang out. Now, marketing, that's a doing word. It's what you do for your marketing. Marketing are all the things that you do to educate, to position, to keep you top of mind, keep you visible to the people that you're trying to sell to. The market are the people you sell to. Marketing is what you do to reach them. Now, another one that's often gets confused with market and marketing is brand and branding. You've probably heard that a couple of times. Now, your brand is how people perceive you. I've done this in different speaking events, and I've asked the audience to choose one or the other, like Coke or Pepsi, Adidas or Nike, Chick-fil-A or Arby's, right? Everybody had an immediate reaction as to who they like better. Now, it could be based on the quality of the food. It could be based on how they're perceived in your region that you're listening to. It just all depends. Your brand is how people perceive you. Now, branding is another active word. It's what you do and what you have to create your brand. So, for example, your logo, your color scheme, your slogan, all of the things that you create and that you do, that's your branding. Now, there's another term that I like to talk about because it's often confused with sales, and that's business development. Now, business development absolutely is part of your sales process, but business development is kind of like sales on steroids or sales plus, you might want to say. It's what happens when you become strategic about your selling. So it's strategic partners. So people who sell to the same people you do, but not the same thing you sell. Or it could be your network, your referral network. Those could be the people that help you with your business development, that give you leads. That's what the business development means. So it is sales, but it goes beyond just your efforts of selling and incorporating other people's efforts to help you as well. Now, another one that I want to talk about is client experience. Because what happens is that people have a big misunderstanding the client experience is the actual interaction with the client when it begins way before that. Because one of the other words we're going to talk about is digital footprint. Because what happens is that your customer, by the first time you even know that they exist, this new customer, they've already made between 50 and 70% of the buying purchase decision because of how they found out about you, what they've researched about you, all of those kinds of things. So your client experience happens before you even interact that first time with the customer, and it happens all the way through until that final conversation with them. And so what happens is that your customer experience is anything and everything that has to do with the customer and how they're experiencing your brand, how they're experiencing you, how they're experiencing your team, all of those types of things. So I want to make sure that the customer experience is understood, that it's about how you interact with them and how your team interacts with them, but more importantly, what they learn about you before you even know they exist. Now, in the book, there are a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about to cover real quick. Now, a lot of people talk about the CTA. And it's so funny. I was on with another marketing person, and all she kept talking about was the CTA. And you could see that the customer was like, no idea what that meant. So CTA simply means call to action, because anything that you do in marketing needs to tell the customer what to do next. I mean, if you get them to come to your website and then ask them to buy or from you, or at least, sign up for a 30-minute consult or interact with you somehow, then what's the point of doing marketing in the first place? What's the point of actually putting your name out there? Your call to action needs to invite your audience to do something with you. It could be register for a free webinar. It could be read the rest of my blog. It could be buy this product now because it's on sale, and here's the code, and here's how long it's going to last. So for me, the call to action is one of the most important pieces of your strategy, because if they don't know what to do next, guess what's going to happen? They're going to do nothing at all, and they're going to move on to your competitor. So that's what a call to action, or a CTA, stands for. The digital footprint. I mentioned that earlier. Now, a digital footprint is pretty simple. It's everywhere you can be found online. And I mean everywhere. Because if you have a listing in the local chamber directory, and you have a website, and you have all these other places you can be found, but the content isn't consistent, the message isn't consistent, or maybe even your details aren't even consistent. This happened to me recently. I realized that I didn't update one of my marketing industry profiles because I moved. And yeah, that's on me. But at the same time, you also want to make sure that the message is consistent as well. You don't want your LinkedIn profile to say something different than your website. You want it all to be very consistent. So that digital footprint that you have, any place that you can be found online, needs to have the same information and the same messaging. Couple more quick ones. Marketing channel. Now, this is something I talked about a little bit earlier. A marketing channel is any place you have the possibility to put your logo and your messaging. So, for example, like I said, if your ideal customers are parents of teenagers, sponsoring a sports team at the local high school might be a really good idea. Or if your ideal customer is somebody who drives down the highway, a billboard would be a great place to go. It could be print ads. It could be digital ads. It could be your website. It could be your Facebook post. It could be any of those different things. So your digital footprint, it's very important that you know what that is and that you review where you can be found, because there are places that you probably didn't know that your brand is listed online. You want to just make sure that you check all that out. Okay, last one, SEO, search engine optimization. This is extremely important. And this is something I'm not a subject matter expert on, but I have somebody who is. And what she does is she makes sure that behind my website, all of the keywords that I have in my website are there. And those keywords are the things that people are searching for me when they Google somebody like myself. a marketing strategist, a marketing consultant, small business marketing consultant, any of those kinds of things. So whatever it is that you do, make sure that you have those words in the search engine optimization of your website. So ask your web developer to have that conversation with you. Okay. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about today. Now, I love quotes. I quote them all the time. I know. I quote quotes. Weird, huh? But the one that I love the most, one of my favorites, is Jeff Bezos said, "Your brand is how people are talking about you when you're not in the room." Now, I referred to that a little bit earlier, but I'm not the one who said it first. Jeff Bezos said it. And so what happens is that understanding the perception of how people think about you is really important to understand everything about your brand. Now, there's a bunch of other brand quotes out there, but that one's my favorite because it really just gets to the heart of it. How are people talking about you? How are you perceived? Now, a funny thing is that I wanted to talk about in most episodes, well, probably every episode, because I have so many of them, is my WTF moment. And I am so blessed that I have this network of people that ask for my help. And I was helping this gentleman with his pitch. It was the last part of the strategy session that I took him through. And he is like one of the sweetest guys you have ever met, seriously. But he's really, really smart. I mean, he's the kind of person that has like an alphabet behind his name. He has so many designations and certifications. So what happened was I was trying to get him to do his pitch. And I tried all of my tricks. Like, how would you describe it to a 12th grade, career day? How would you describe it to a second grader? Or how would you describe it at the neighborhood barbecue? Those kinds of things. And he was still so much in his head about like how smart he is, and he couldn't really figure out how to say it in plain words. And that's kind of my WTF moment, is that I don't know if you guys watched the Super Bowl. Okay, I watched the ads. I didn't watch the game. But there were some big faux pas, some big some commercials that I just want to go WTF. We can get into another time. But the point was is that they stopped talking in plain language. Just tell me how you help. Tell me why I need to care about your brand. Tell me why I need to care about what you do. And so what happened was, as we're going through this whole process, he was getting really frustrated. And we're on a Zoom call, and I could just tell he just wanted the Zoom call to be over. But we kept pushing and pushing. I'm like, it's not there. It's not there. You're almost there. You're getting there. And finally he was like, well, what the fuck? This is just what I do. And we're like, yes, that's brilliant. Write that down. Because it was the most basic, the most heartfelt, how I help my people. And it let's get to that WTF moment to find it, because we want to impress people. And that's not the point. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. I love talking about marketing, but what I really love to do is make sure that you, the audience, understands what marketing is, what sales is, and how you use it to grow your business. So the next time we're having a conversation with the marketing person, they start using all these acronyms, you'll know exactly what they're talking about. So if you're ready to raise the bar in your customer experience and maybe a little hell, always remember there are benefits to a rebel mindset. Until next time, see you soon.